Hey guys, welcome back to another Surgical Tech Tips. I get a lot of questions surrounding clinical rotations and what it's really like in the clinical rotation outside of the classroom, in the hospital for the first time. A lot of students are really nervous the first time they go into a hospital in that rotation. And I made a video previously on it. I'll link it in the upper corner of the screen. And I'm just going to make this video to kind of add on to that and explain a little bit more about the clinical rotation for you guys. So first things first, let's talk about the clinical site. 99% of the time you're going to be in a hospital. I haven't heard of any people having a clinical site in a surgery center. If that does happen, please let me know in the comments below. But most of the time I see clinical sites being at hospitals. Now, hospitals can either just be a community hospital or it can be a county hospital. County hospitals are usually like your level 1 trauma centers. That's where they get a lot of cases, a lot of big cases in those types of hospitals. Either one of those hospitals can have surgical residents as well as nursing students, and obviously tech students as well. Which brings me to my next point, the surgical residents. You're going to be in a clinical site where most likely there's going to be surgical residents as well, because it's a teaching hospital. So you will have to share that OR space with surgical residents. I remember my clinical rotation, there was some cases where I'd have like 3 surgical residents in the same room as my preceptor and I, and it was just so many people at the table, and you're kind of fighting for a view of the surgery and trying to watch the surgeon and what they do. But when there's that many students in the room, it's really hard. So just understand that most likely your clinical site is going to be a big teaching hospital, and there's going to be surgical residents in the room. There won't be that many in the room on every single case, but there will be residents in the room. The third thing I wanted to talk to you about are preceptors. One major thing that you have to recognize is that they are essentially volunteers in helping teach you. They're not getting paid by the school. They're not getting paid more by the hospital to teach you. They are volunteering their day and their time to help teach you and make sure you know how to set up a back table and do a case and not contaminate yourself during the procedure. Recognize that and always keep that in the back of your mind. Every preceptor is going to have a different personality. Some might be more helpful than others. Some might be really hard on you and really kind of nasty.
Those buttons! Dress that belt buckle, straighten that cap, and god damn it, tuck up those pajamas!
And others might be incredibly helpful and absolutely love teaching and love helping students out. So you will most likely get polar opposites at some point in your clinical rotation. Starting off, when you first start off your rotation, preceptors have to get used to you. Okay, you can't expect to go immediately into the OR and start setting up a case and start doing a case. A preceptor has to be able to trust your skills in the OR. So they may, set up the first couple cases, and you have to watch them as they set up the case. And then maybe on the third case, they'll tell you, hey, you can set up with me and learn how I set up my back table. And then on the fourth case, they'll say, okay, I want you to set up the case. I want you to set up the case and the back table the exact same way I set it up. You have to recognize that in an emergent situation, if a preceptor is allowing you to scrub the case, they need to be able to switch on the fly with you and know where everything is. So that is why preceptors want you to set up the exact same way that they set up a case. Learning how and figuring out the way that you want to set up a back table and the way that you want to set up a case comes later on after clinicals. Maybe if you're lucky near the end of your clinical rotation, you get a person that, you know, really trusts you and says, you know, you can go ahead and set it up the way you want to set it up. But know that most of the time you're going to be setting up a case and you're going to be setting up a back table the exact same way a preceptor sets up their back table. So don't get upset at that. They're just trying to make sure that everything runs smoothly, and that if something does happen in the middle of the procedure, that they can switch roles and take over if they have to. Last thing I wanted to touch on was just kind of a brief overview of what your day in clinicals will look like. You will start off in the morning, get there in the morning, and your teacher will look at the board. You've seen the board on like my OR tour video, where it's basically just a list of all of the cases for the day, and each OR, they will look over that. They may ask you what you'd be interested in going in, or they may already know what preceptors and what other surgical techs that work there at that hospital actually are a little bit more accepting of students. So they may try and place you in rooms with those preceptors that are much more accepting to students. Once you're assigned your room, you go in, meet with your preceptor, go through your case cards, maybe pick cases, pick suture, pick instruments and stuff like that for your case cards for the day. Start setting up your cases with your preceptor and going on throughout your day in a normal way, as far as setting up a case, doing a case, breaking it down, rinse and repeat throughout the entire day. You try your best to, you know, remember everything. If you're able to, take little notes during the procedures to help you remember certain steps of the procedures, or you know, certain supplies that you may not have recognized. But that's essentially your clinical rotation day. Come in the morning, figure out your cases, do all your cases, and then go home. And that's essentially going to be your day as a surgical tech as well. I kind of make it sound like it's a little boring, but it's not. I mean, you're doing surgery all day, so it's fun, it's a blast. But that is essentially going to be your life as a surgical tech. So, you know, coming into your clinical rotation, it kind of gets you started with that. You know, come in the morning, figure out your cases, pick all your cases, pick all your supplies, open everything up, and do the surgeries. All right, guys, I hope this helped out a little bit more for all of you people that have questions about clinical rotations, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.